Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to express my warm welcome to all of you for attending this webinar. My name is Michael Peterson from CIRS Medical Device team. It's a very pleasure to give this presentation on latest regulatory updates on medical device in China. To start our topicers, I'm just going to give a very short introduction of our company. CIRS is a Chinese consulting company which is providing service in the field of chemical products, medical device, cosmetics, foods, agrochemicals, and biocides. CIRS is composed of more than 200 steps, and within which are 65 experts specialized in different areas, and we got over 70% of our experts are at least master's degree. Our headquarters is located in Hangzhou, and also we have our office in Beijing, and it's very close to the competent authorities. And we have office in Nanjing, in Ningbo. Also, we have our European office. It is in Ireland. The medical device department was founded from 2010, and we are dedicated to helping foreign companies enter China market. The average working age of our staff is over 8 years. We have experts who has over 15 years experience on implantable device. We have who are specialized in IVD reagents and who are specialized in surgical equipments. Also, we have people skilled in TCF and clinical study. And we got a business developer who is very good at the international business. And more significantly, we have the experts who is built a very close relationship with the government and the competent authorities. Okay, here we go to our top gears. During the webinar, if anyone has some emergency and has to leave, that is very fun, and of course we'll share the presentation on our website, and you can download on the site. For any questions raised in the webinar, you can leave your message or send an email to us. I will respond to you as soon as possible. Okay, the presentation will focus on 4 parts: the overview of the medical device management in China, latest updates of CFDA medical device regulations, how to register medical device in China, and some tips for CFDA imported registration. And before this presentation, I'd like to show you some statistics data of medical device in China. I believe the data will arouse everyone's interest in China market of medical device. This is a graph to exhibit how China experienced an amazing market explosion of medical device from 1997 to 2014. The number is not summed by year and year, but a separate number for each year. For example, in 1997, there are only 850 registrations applied during the year, but in 2008, there are 6,733 registrations applied during the 2008, and even in 2014, there are total 11,233 registrations applied just in 2014. So the tendency indicates a crazy increase on China medical market, and it is still increasing dramatically in 2015. This figure shows how much registration applied and how much registration reviewed from 2009 and to 2014. In 2009, registration applied were much more than the registration reviewed. It was because the market grew too fast and there were not enough officials to complete the review. But after that, the government paid great attention to medical device market and added much more steps to an effort to keep the balance of the registration applied and the registration reviewed. So we can see the great governmental support on medical device, which is a very good background for the market developing in China. Here is a top 10 list of medical device industry in China. For domestic products, Jiangsu province has the most bigger industries, and Shanghai is the second, and Guangdong is the third. For imported country, the top 3 are American, German, and Japan. They almost occupy 70% of the market. And for the UK, France, Korea, Switzerland, Ireland, and Sweden and Finland. For this column, they are not the number, but the classification code. For example, the 6840 stands for the in vitro diagnosed reagents, and the 6822 stands for the optical device and the endoscopy device. The 6846 stands for the implant materials and artificial organs. So from this figure, it can help us know which products are much more popular in China. So if anyone are interested in this list and wants to know what are exactly they are, just feel free to contact me after the meeting. And based on above graphings, we can see the huge market in China, and just more and more foreign companies are going to export their products in China. But always there are three biggest barriers there. First is a regulatory barrier, because everybody should know there are even no English version for foreign companies to learn about Chinese medical device regulations. And second is a language barrier. Third is a culture barrier. Easily to understand. Now, you just don't worry about this from now on, because that's what we are working on, and that's why we are here. Okay, following is the overview of medical device management in China. In this section, we will discuss from the 5 aspects. One is the definition, and second is the risk-based classification, and then is government principles, and full life cycle supervision and management, and the medical device management policies. The definition of medical device. Actually, this is a new definition of the medical device. We can see the comparison between the former and the new. According to the latest regulatory updates, the CFDA expands the definition of medical device. Any instrument, apparatus, appliance, materials, in vitro diagnostic reagents, and calibration substance, and other similar substance and related articles, including the needed computer software, its main effectiveness is achieved via physical ways, and so on. It is done to achieve this principal action in or on the human body by means of pharmacy, immunology, or metabolism. So, to compare the old version and the new version, we can see the CFDA adds the IVDs and adds the calibration substance, and emphasize the mechanism of the medical device is through the physical ways. Also, we add the life support or maintenance, and also information for medical device or diagnostic purpose while inspecting the human samples. And after the definition, in China, the medical devices are classified into 3 classes based on the risk level. The class 1 medical devices are with the lower risk. Their safety and effectiveness of the device can be issued through the very general controls. And class 2 medical devices are devices with medium risk, and they need some strict controls. For class 3 medical devices, they are with the highest risk, and they require the special controls to issue their safety and effectiveness of the device. It's well known that the CFDA is the highest medical device authorities in China. All important medical devices have to be approved by CFDA. Whatever the class 1, class 2, or class 3, as well as the domestic class 3 medical device, often should be approved by the CFDA, but subject to the CFDA's provincial FDA and the municipal FDA. For the provincial FDA, they are responsible for the domestic class 2 medical device. And for the municipal FDA, they are responsible for the class 1 medical device. Besides, there are also some technical organizations, hierarchical departments, and territorial department. Those consist of the competent authorities. For the technical organization, they just be in charge of the Technical Evaluation Center, National Center for Adverse Drug Reactions. And for the hierarchical department, they are responsible for the classification. And for territorial management, they are just be monitored by the local authorities and quality management system. Oh, here we go. It's a very smart graph to show the full life cycle supervision and management of the medical device in China. From the very beginning, that means from the development and design. If you plan to export your products into China, then you should consider the classification, standards, technical requirements, clinical study, risk assessment, label instruction, and just all of these should be double-checked according to the CFDA regulations in advance for your future registration. And next, we go to the submission package and the formal review, technical evaluation, and the administrative approval. We need this to complete the CFDA registration and approval. After, you may be required to check the quality management system and audited by CFDA, but this is very rare, to be very honest, since it's not very convenient for CFDA officials to fly out to do this. And next, you should have your China agent or your local China office to do the distributing. You should apply for the distributing license, internet trading, GSP, or maybe some advertisement approval and customs clearance like that. So these 4 parts are included in the pre-market. After your device are put into the China market, you should keep eyes on the post-market regulations, including the routine inspection, after-sale service, and self-inspection. Also, you will deal with the CFDA spot test and deal with the 5 years review, and also maybe some change. And significantly, don't forget to take care of your adverse events and your recall of your products if some really emergency occurs. China constructed its medical device management policies like a pyramid. We can see on the top of the pyramid is the Constitution, and then is the National Healthcare Law. After that is the State Decree number 650, the regulations for supervision and administration of medical device. This is a very, very important guideline to instruct how medical device shall be management in China. And it is followed by 5 practical department regulations. And they are CFDA number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and number 8, and responsible in the different aspects, like the registration and like for the IVDs and for the instruction labels and supervision, and also for the distribution. And then followed is the normative documents. It's a CFDA notice number 43, and the last is the local regulation standards on notice. Okay, here we go to the part B, and in part B will talk very more about the latest updates of CFDA medical device regulations. In this section, we start from the 4 parts, the glance on the CFDA regulatory updates and the significant change to clinical trial, simplify the review and approval procedure for innovative medical device, and last is amendments to medical device regulations. And China restructured its medical device regulatory authorities twice, from 2000 to 2013. At the very beginning, the Ministry of Health, the so-called MOH, was in charge of all the medical device regulations, but their main duty was on the health and family planning. So it's very hard to manage the medical device regulations. So at that time, there were even no uniform regulations for every province to follow, and just different cities have the different regulations. So it was really a terrible time for medical device market at that time. Then on September 2008, SFDA, the State Food and Drug Administration, was formed as an independent department of OH and gradually established uniform regulations. And on March 2013, CFDA was set up and have the final authority for all healthcare regulations. And CFDA issued the uniform new medical device regulations for all the provinces to follow. Here shows the milestones for medical device regulatory updates. On March 2013, CFDA was founded and in substitute for SFDA, and on 2014, July 1st, the new medical device regulations state degree 650 implanted. And then follows the October 1st, 2014, and we got the new registration guidelines implanted, GMP informs on Class 3 medical device. And on the 2014, the January 1st, EMC were required, and it's according to YY 0505 2012. And on the April 1st, 2015, is the registration update and renewal applied separately. And finally, on the 2015, the May 27, CFDA administrative fee was charged from that time. Okay, we have talked about this before. Let's go to next. On September 5th, 2014, the CFDA issued the announcement on medical device GMP to promote its implementation based on the state degree number 650 and the CFDA decree number 7 on December 12th. CFDA released the announcement and declared that all medical device distributing companies have to comply with GSP. So it's from the December 12th, and all the medical device distributing companies should comply with GSP. Also, China has implemented the GMP on sterile and the implantable medical device from the January 1st, 2011. And after the significant update on October 1st, 2014, the new establishment or update of manufacturing license for Class 3 medical device should comply with the GMP. And then on the June 1st, 2016, the Class 3 medical device manufacturing companies have to comply with the GMP. Finally, it's on the January 1st, 2018. GMP will be expanded to all medical device manufacturing enterprises. CFDA also streamlined the classification process to classify your medical device. Firstly, you'd better to look up to the classification catalog of medical device in China. And this is released by the CFDA. Unfortunately, it was in Chinese certainly. But we CIRS spent 1 year to translate a great number of CFDA documents, including one is the classification catalog. We can look at that. There are a total 200 pages, and it's really a dramatic work. It might be not so exact due to some very professional terminology, but we can confident that you can most likely to find your device here. The first column is for the classification code, and the second column is the category name, and it follows the product name, structural features, intended use, classifications. It's a result. So basically, most of your device can be matched here, and if you really can find your device here, it turns out that very possibly your product has not been classified in China, then you should use the criteria for medical device classification. The criteria distinguish the passive device and the active device, and makes the judgment from the intended purpose, contacting human body or non-contacting human body, contacting parts, use terms, and other factors. To be very honest, it just looks very kind of complicated and also kind of confusion. But you just don't worry about this. You can much easily to search the result on our CMDRD database. I can show you. Just input our website address, CIRS-md.com. Here we go, our website, and here we go, the resource. The CMDRD is here. And log in. Actually, it will be very soon. Maybe in the end of this June, you can see it. We can have a very quick look of how it will look like. This is the CMD homepage. For here, you can input any keywords of your product here, and this one is based on the classification catalog, and it will match very quickly to your products to the catalog. And if you cannot match your product here, you can just input the information of your product here, and this one is based on the criteria which should be just now. So also, besides the classification, we also have the regulations and the guidance database here, and we have the standards subsystem, and we have the regulatory supporting center. Okay, we just go very quick look. And here is the regulatory database, and we just distribute as the different functions here, and you can get the summary, the history, and the timeline documents. All of the information you want get, you can find it here. And here's the subsystem. This is for the standards, and for the supporting center. So this system will be free for you all of you to be used. So don't worry about the fees. Here we go back to our. Oh, sorry. Oh, here we go. If you really can not classify your device through the above two methods, then it turns out that your products must be quite novel, and then you should apply for the classification determination to NIFDC. This is the final authority to determine what your classification of your product. We can see CFDA expanded the medical device definition and included IVDs into medical device as well. So the submission procedure for IVDs registration were also changed. From here we can see the formal procedure, which the first procedure is to do the clinical trial, and then do the QMS and the quality testing, and then last the submission. But now it changed to the new procedure. You should first do the quality testing in the CFDA qualified testing center, and then you go to the clinical trial if required. And then we do the submission and technical evaluation. Then we go to the QMS, and last, the approval and certificate will be issued. The new procedure for the IVDs is very similar to the device submission. So, in this case, the CFDA simplifies the procedure and makes no confusion for the IVDs and med device. Generally, for the new medical device regulations, CFDA simplifies the pre-market approval and registration process. It has to be pointed out that the Class 1 medical device is no longer required to be registered and only need to undergo a filing procedure. So these new regulations really simplify the Class 1 medical device. So totally, for your Class 1 medical device, the registration duration just need within 1 month. Also, the domestic device manufacturer is no longer required to obtain the manufacturing license prior to apply for the registration, and also expanded the medical device registration certificates validated period from 4 years to 5 years, and also use the special review procedure of innovative medical device. It will be talked later. We summarized all latest updates and listed some medical devices are no longer managed as a Class 1 medical device in China. They are sterile medical device. Sanitary materials contain disinfectants, surgical instruments used with endoscope, orthopedic surgical instrument directly contact with intervertebral space when used. Collective packing product contained higher control level medical device. And the CFDA will assign the classification to each new medical device after expert reviewed their submissions. So how to comply when classification changed? First, you should determine the new classification and check if it is compliant with the new product mandatory standard, and petition the CFDA for classification determination via the online application systems. And finally, submit updated registration dossiers to CFDA and obtain the new medical device registration certificate. Here's another important update about the biological test. The medical device registration inspection should be conducted in China qualified laboratory, which approved by the CFDA. However, test report of Class 1 medical device and biological evaluation can be issued by overseas laboratories, but the test method should be equal to Chinese national standard, which is GB 16886. And it equals to the ISO 10933. And for the formal requirement for the biological test report, it has to be conducted in the China Qualified Test Center. And now, for the under the new regulations management, it becomes to a part of the research information. So the foreign companies don't need to reduce their biological tests in China. Here is the administrative fee, and it's on the 27th May 2015, CFDA issued the announcement and the notice number 15.3 to define the detailed administrative fee and announced that the administrative fee starts to be charged. According to the state degree, the registration of medical device can be charged, and the fees shall be enacted by the Finance Ministry and the National Development and Reform Commissions. It has to be pointed out that the administrative fee is charged after your classification is accepted by CFDA, and there will no refund if you fail the application. So you should be very, very careful to prepare all the materials for your CFDA applications, and make sure all of them are able to satisfy CFDA regulations, which include the R&D, risk analysis, technical requirements, manufacturing, product testing, clinical evaluation, and so on. If you want to get some more suggestions to deal with the administrative fee, you can visit the news on our website. And the fees here in RMB, and it's a fixed RMB. So if you want to how to change to your country currencies, you should do it as a rate. This is a flow chart to show you what's the schedule of your submission in CFDA. Typically, the technical evaluation and approval accelerates than before. We can see Class 1 medical device just need to be filed. And for Class 2 and Class 3 medical device, both of them should do the registration acceptance, and it will need 3 working days. And for Class 2, the technical evaluation is 60 business days, and for Class 3, the technical evaluation is 90 business days. And if it's required by the CFDA expert panel, you should do some supplementation, and the supplementation should be completed within 1 year, and the re-evaluation for the supplementation will be 60 business days. And then the administrative approval will take 20 business days, and finally the certificate issued will take 10 business days. So totally, for Class 2, it will take you at least 93 business days in CFDA, and for Class 3 medical device, it will take you totally 123 business days in CFDA. Clinical trial. We can see, so first you should to make is it your products is a medical device? If yes, is it class 1 medical device in China? Because class 1 medical device doesn't require the clinical study, and the clinical assessment report is required. For if your product is class 2 or class 3 medical device, and you should check if your product listed in the catalog of medical device exempted from the clinical trial. And here we also have the exemption catalog here. And in this catalog, this one lists all the medical devices that can be exempted from the clinical trial. And you can just like to find your product here. If your products here, then you don't need to do the clinical trial. So, and for the class 2 and or class 3 medical devices that were not listed in the catalog, but you would like to be exempted from the clinical trial, you should to get the clinical data of your medical device with similarities and with explicit working mechanism, complete design, skilled manufacturing technique, or similar products that have been working on the market for several years and with no serious adverse events, and the general purpose doesn't change. Or you can get the safety or effectiveness of medical device that can be issued with other data rather than clinical trials. So there's just 3 ways to make sure your clinical evaluations. First, make sure if your product is a class 1 medical device, and to make sure is your product listed in the exemption catalog. And last, you should get the clinical data of the medical device with similarities. If all of the above circumstances is not included for your products, then you have to conduct the clinical study in the China. And based on the new regulations, CFDA simplifies the review and approval procedure for innovative medical device. What's the definition of the innovative medical device? First, the applicant, through his technology innovation activities, possesses the core technology invention patents of the products by Chinese law, or possesses invention partners or the right to use by transferring core technology patents is published by the Patent Administration of the State Council. Also, the main mechanism of the product is initiated in China, and the performance or safety of the products has been greatly improved compared to similar ones. And also, the technology of the products is in the intentional advanced level and has significant clinical application value. The applicant has a complete preliminary research and has a basic product sample or research work real and controlled. Your product has to satisfy these 3 requirements simultaneously. Then your product can be defined as an innovative medical device. Here we go, the submission and approval procedure for innovative medical device. And compared to the general registration, there's a very amazing thing for the innovative medical device. It is a duration, because the innovative medical device don't have to be put in the line for the registration, and they can jump the line. You know, there's a very long line currently for the China medical device registration, so it is very cool. And also for the innovative medical device, it only needs 40 business days to do the technical evaluation, and it only needs 10 business days to do the administrative evaluation. Also, if your company is do small business and you also have the innovative medical device, then you will be free of the administrative charge. And here is the contents of medical device registration certificate. And for it's the big difference is the validity period. For the new version, it can be validated for 5 years. And also, it must be pointed out that the renewal applied usually be before 6 months of the data of the expirations. So based on the formal version, companies always to do the renewal within the 6 months of before the data of the expiration. But now, in our experience, you should to prepare the renewal at least 9 months before the expiration. And here we go to how to register the medical device in China. First, to make sure your product is a healthcare product and it's managed as a medical device in China or is the IVD regulations in China. And did you obtain the appropriate application for license and registration first? And next, you should do the pre-market requirements, including classification, testing, clinical trial, registration, labeling, and then we should go to the post-market requirements, GMP, GSP, advertisement approval, adverse events, and some required recalls. And here is a very detailed figure to show how to proceed with the medical device registration in China. Also, like we have discussed before, the first step is to determine your classification. And then we go to the registration proposal. You should make a very detailed proposal for what you should do in the future, and to just make every step very detailed and very prospective. And define the product's standards, and now we call it technical requirements. Here we several different ways. For the class 1 medical device, it just don't need to do the testing in the testing center. You just do the testing by yourself, and you just prepare the clinical evaluation, and then you can submit your application to the CFDA. But for the class 2, class 3 medical device, the biggest difference compared to the class 1 medical device is the testing and the clinical trial. For class 2 and class 3 medical device, you have to conduct your testing in the CFDA qualified testing center. That means even you have the testing report from the third parties, overseas third party. I mean, if you have the testing report in Europe or in America, that can make no sense in China. You have to reduce the testings in China testing center. And also you should make sure if your product can be exempted from clinical trial. And then with this, you can submit the application to the CFDA. And after your submission is approved and passed, you will get your CFDA license from the CMDE, and then you should do the post-market management, including the GMP, GSP, and some adverse events. And following, it will show step by step how to do the CFDA registrations. First, also is the classification, and we can do it based in the risk level and the intended use, based on the structural features and some more importantly intended for use. Also, we have mentioned some very novel device you have to apply for the classification determination to NFDC to confirm its category and classification. And also, you have to have your China legal agent or maybe your own China office. And any overseas establishment engaged in the manufacturing, preparation, propagation, and to all processing of the medical device imported into China must identify a China agent for that companies. And Each company only have one China agent. Also, the foreign company allocate at least one qualified institute to be the after-sales service agent, who is be responsible for the adverse events monitoring, and to be responsible for the recalls and after-service only. And actually, based on the formal regulations, the foreign companies will have 3 agents in China, which are the legal agent, the registration agent, and the after-sales service agent. But now, based on the new regulations, the foreign companies only have 2 agents. One is the legal agent, and the second is service agent. And the responsibility of the agent should be fully responsible for the record or registration of imported medical device and assist communication between CFDA and the overseas applicant, and accurately deliver the regulations and technical requirements to the overseas applicant, also gather adverse events and reply both to CFDA and the overseas applicant, and coordinate with the recall, other responsibilities involved with product quality and after-sales service. The registration proposal. The proposal typically you should consider very safely on the intended use, and the research information, and the clinical situation. For the technical requirements, the foreign companies should comply the technical requirements according to the international standards and based on the China national standards and industrial standards. And it should include the product name, the model specification, performance standards, testing models, labels, instruction manual, and its terminology, and so on. And the authorities that be responsible for the technical requirements is the SAC, NIVDs, and MDTC. So for the product testing, the materials required for testing and should do the instruction and the labels and compile the technical requirements before they do their testing, and conduct the testing in the qualified CFDA testing center with a GLP certificate. Also, here we show an overview of the testing procedure. And the technical, first, which is the technical document gatherer according to their checklist, and then draft the product standard, and then draft the Chinese instructions and label, confirm the testing requirements with the qualified laboratory, submit the application form and sample to the laboratory, then follow up the testing and supplementary documents if required. And last is finalize the product standard and testing report, and you can acquire your final testing report. And also here we go, and just to do a supplement to the clinical evaluation we talked before. CFDA designates some specific medical device with quite high risk and establish the catalog which indicates those Class 3 medical devices have to apply for the approval before clinical trial. So this list is the medical device that have to do the clinical trial, and here's their classification code. We could just for example, there's 6845, and it's an implantable blood pump, and it's a 6846. And the vehicle standard system not yet placed on the domestic market, like that. And for the classification code, we have mentioned in the classification catalog, and you can just ask us to send you the classification catalog if you want to know exactly what these devices are. And here goes the doses preparation. The suspension package should be compliant with the CFDA 16th decree, the requirements and instructions for imported medical device registration application. And the submission package includes the risk analysis report, the research information, manufacturing information, instruction labels, technical reports, client evaluation reports, and so on. And the dossiers should be submitted to CFDA by the legal agent. And then we go to the technical review in CIRS and CMDE. CIRS is short for the Center of Administrative Service, and which will check the dossiers submitted by applicant and decide if they will be accepted or refused. CMD is a center of medical device evaluation, and they will conduct technical review on submitted dossiers and decide could you pass the evaluation or you failed, or you should do some supplementary to your submission. And the last step, everyone to know, congratulations, you have passed. You can put your device into your China market. And the legal agent and the service agent should be in charge of the after-sales service agent after the certificate issued. Also, the post-market products should comply with technical requirements raised in the registration, and you cannot make the false document and just to make everything the same with what you do in the registration. Also, if you want to do the distributing of your products, and then you should apply for the distribution license. And last, we go some very practical tips for the CFDA imported registration. And first, something should be done before the registration, and also we help you to read the CFDA license and some China medical device standard system. Something should be done before the registration. The first, make sure you already have your local license. Like you have if your company is in the Europe, you should have your CE certificate. If your company is located in the USA, then you must have your FDA license. Also, if you are located in the Korea, you should have the KFDA license. And the second, make sure your product is managed as med device in China. This very obviously. And third, you should make sure you will be able to have all required dossiers prepared based on our introductions, because we have talked the CFDA begins to charge the administrative fee. So just to get ready to pay it again and again, it really costs a lot. So we should be very careful with the required dossiers. And it's fourth, make sure your product standards comply with the CF technical requirements. So that means your products should be comply with the China standards like the GB, the YY, and the pharmacopoeia. So sometimes even your product is very qualified in your country, but that doesn't mean your product will meet the technical requirements in China. And here we help you to read the CFDA license. And here's a very typical sample. This one we call it the 国食药监线. This stands for the CFDA, and the 进 stands for the imported, so CFDA imported. This is the year 2013. And this one is the classification level. 3 means this device is class 3 med device, and this is a classification code. And this device is included into the 6864, and this is the serial number. Usually, for this classification code, the med device in China is classified from the 6801 to 6877. And here is the China medical device standards systems. And we got the national standards, industrial standards, and so we can see the industrial standards is much more than the national standards, and the recommended standards is much more than the mandatory standards. So, and also we just get two guidance, the state number 650. Also, we got the total number is here. The national standards is typed with the GB as first, and the industrial standards is titled with the YY first. And we also have some local standards titled with DB or DB11 and DB11. T means the recommended GBT or YYT. Here we list some very normal used standards like the GBT 16886. It's a biological evaluation of medical device and equals to the ISO 10993. Also, we have the GB 9706, the medical electrical equipment, the general requirements for safety, and we have the EMC, the electromagnetic compatibility. It's a YY0505. And all of these standards will be available on our database, and you can check it later, just very soon in the end of the June. And here we just pay some emphasis on the EMC biological evaluation and some CFDA TR. And the EMC is mandatory required from the January 1st, 2015, and must be done within the Chinese qualified laboratory, the CFDA testing center. And it's a biological, the GPT, the biological can issue from the overseas. So you can, if you already have your biological test, you can use it in China. And TCF of C doesn't indicate test methods. This is based on our experience, because we have dealt with some European and American clients, and we found that the TCF or C usually doesn't indicate the test methods corresponding to performance, but this is needed in CF technical requirements. Okay, that should be the end of our presentation, and I'm thank you very much for all of your time and your patience. Actually, this is a very general presentation and covers not very detailed information of some steps. So if anyone is interested in our registration, you can just contact us later through email, or anyone of you have some questions, also you can contact us in the email. Sorry, we don't have time for the QA here because it's very late in the China now. It's already the 11 night, so I should go back to home. So I apologize for this, and we can see you later. Maybe in the September, we will have another webinar, and we will show how to use our STEM-DRD systems, and we will have another webinar on the output business of our service. So thank you again for your time and your attention. Look forward to see you again. Thanks.